Chapter 14. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth, and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee into the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night. But it shall come to pass that at the evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go forth from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananiel unto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents, as this plague. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanites in the house of the Lord of hosts. In chapter 14 here, the last chapter in Zechariah, and the last part of our knowledge of the Battle of Armageddon from Zechariah, he talks about the destruction of the army of Gog. Now, we have no real solid idea of how big the army is. We believe there will be millions upon millions of people. The valley in which this battle would take place. Most of the battle will apparently take place right around Jerusalem. Megiddo is about 60 miles away. The valley is about 15 miles wide at its widest point, so there's plenty of territory there for maneuvering. But the death of the army will not be a total death. It will be about 5/6 of the army will be killed. There will be a huge earthquake, worldwide earthquake. An earthquake that will be unlike any that has ever been felt in the history of the world before. It will be felt all over the world. And there will be a great, according to what we have, there will be in Revelations chapter 16, verse 21, if I remember correctly, there will be a great rain of fire and hail. And some of the hailstones will be as big as 1 talent weight, which would be about 75 pounds. Now, if you're a guy on the ground, it doesn't make a difference whether you're wearing body armor or what, and something weighing 75 pounds falls on you, you're going to feel it. Anything that's falling very far from the sky, if it, at normal speeds, normal acceleration, will hit 120 miles an hour. You're hit by something that weighs 100 or 75 pounds traveling 120 miles an hour, there's not going to be much of you left. So that could be very disastrous. As well, there will be plagues, and it lists the plagues here, that will rot the flesh off of the skin, that will rot the eyes and the tongue out of the sockets in the head, all of which pretty well guaranteed to make you ineffective as a soldier. It says that basically 1/6 of the army of Gog is all that's going to survive, and that Israel will be, as a nation, able to live off of the spoils that are left over, all the material that's left over, all the food from all of these armies, all of the clothes, all of everything that's left there, for a full 7 years. You might need to if the land's been devastated. Live off for a full 7 years. There will be 7 months where huge numbers of the people will be burying the bodies of the dead, and that there will be so many people that will have died, and that will be maybe temporarily buried by their companions in whatever military unit they're in, that will be coming to the surface, the bones will be coming to the surface, that there will be permanent burial details that will be looking for these bones to try and bury them in places so the land will be cleansed. Now, this is going to be one horrible battle. Absolutely horrible battle. There's nothing about it that's going to be interesting, nice, or fun for anybody. It's going to last, the battle itself is believed to last about 3.5 years. And when it's over, just to show how life will have changed, Zechariah tells us that those people who do not wish to go up to Jerusalem and worship the Lord will find that there is no rain where they are. No rain, no crops, no food. You're in big trouble. Now, whether or not that means to physically go to Jerusalem or just to worship Heavenly Father in one of the other temples that were built, because we know there will be other temples built, we don't know. I suspect it will be quite acceptable to the Lord to go to a proper, authorized, fully approved temple that He accepts, not one that you build on your own in your backyard, but one that the Lord accepts wherever you are in the face of the earth. And even to show you just how trivial things, seemingly trivial things, will be different. It says even the horses' bells and pots will have holiness to the Lord on them. People will want to surround themselves with every possible thing that they can have that will enhance the spirituality of their lives. And if they have a horse and they're going to travel someplace, they could have engraved on that horse's bells holiness to the Lord. It might seem a trivial thing to most of us, but it may be important to them, and it certainly doesn't hurt.